Hello, I do hope you and your families are all keeping well. I wanted to give you a quick update as we reach the end of our first half term back at St Peter's. Before I do that, however, I did want to say thank you so much for putting your trust in us and sending your children back to school with us. We've been delighted to have all of our children back in school. It's fantastic to see their smiling faces and to see the great learning that's going on every single day at our school. So thank you for sending your children back. It's worth probably reflecting on the local situation just for a couple of minutes before I go into talk about things we're doing here at St Peter's as well, because locally the number of cases has been rising over the past couple of weeks. They have tailed off just recently, but I think they're quite likely to stay at the level they're at for a little time to come. So now is not the time for us to be relaxing what we're doing at school. In fact, we know what we're doing at school is working very, very well. We've only had one case in the whole of the primary phase. So it's really important we keep what we're doing because we know that works. So thank you for your support and all of that. If I could just spend a moment to reflect upon the government guidance, I think it's important we understand what this means for us at St Peter's as well. So on the screen here in front of you, you've got the system of controls which the government provided for us to help keep your children safe in school. And the system of controls is something we really do have to abide by every single day throughout our lives here at St Peter's. The numbers here in the blue box, that's 2 to 7, are ones that really we are responsible for here at school. So what we do is we make sure hands are washed regularly, we ensure we've got good respiratory hygiene, we've got an enhanced cleaning procedure in school as well. These are really, as I say, are all things we look after in school. When we do get any cases at school, we do numbers 8, 9 and 10. And this is responding to infection by contacting Public Health England. And I'm really pleased to say that the one time I did have to contact Public Health England because of the one case at the primary phase, they were very complimentary about all the systems and procedures we had in place. And we're very happy with how we dealt with things. The one thing I really think, though, that parents need to be really aware of is number one. It's number one because it's the most important. And the number one point here in terms of prevention is that we minimise with contacts who are unwell by ensuring that those who have COVID symptoms or someone in their household does do not attend school. And I just want to go into this a little bit more because sometimes the guidance can be a little bit confusing. So if your child or anyone in your household develops symptoms of COVID-19, and that's a new continuous cough, a high temperature, a loss of or change in normal sense of taste or smell, that person needs to self-isolate for 10 days straight away, and they need to arrange to have a test. If the test is negative, they no longer need to self-isolate. If it's positive, they must complete the 10-day isolation period. And as regards everybody else in the household, the rest of the household need to stay at home for 14 days. That is, of course, unless the test comes back negative, in which case they can all go back to their daily lives as well. And it's really important that the rest of the household should only order a test if they develop symptoms. So it's only those who have symptoms who need to order a test. And the reason for this is very straightforward. If somebody in your household tests positive and you have a test and you test negative, all that means is that you don't have symptoms at that time. You could well go on to develop symptoms in later days. And that's why only those with symptoms should order a test. And there are fines starting at £1,000, which can be issued for not following some of those guidelines I've just been through. So please make sure you follow that advice. It's very clear, it's very straightforward. If someone in your household is unwell with symptoms of COVID-19, they need to stay at home, as does the rest of the household. And again, only people with symptoms should order a test. Once a test is ordered, households must not wait for the result before self-isolating and informing the school. So the moment a test is ordered for someone in your household, or the moment someone develops symptoms of COVID-19, the whole household needs to self-isolate until such time as the guidance dictates otherwise. I'd also like to say at this point, as we're approaching half term, that if anybody is planning on travelling abroad for the half term, please bear in mind there are restrictions in place for a number of countries, in fact many countries, so please ensure you understand those fully and you inform the school if you do go away to a country which has travel restrictions, so we know when you can come back to school. I just want to explain why it's so important now that we do self-isolate when we develop symptoms of COVID-19. Here's an example here of a primary class. So we've got about 30 children there in the group. Now imagine this one child here develops symptoms of COVID-19 and they come into school and they subsequently test positive when they should have been staying at home. If they'd stayed at home, the rest of the children are absolutely fine and they can carry on as normal. If, however, they've been into school whilst they've had symptoms, or they've been into school whilst they've been waiting for a test and they test positive, the entire rest of the class will need to self-isolate for 2 weeks. And it's really important we want to restrict that as much as we can. Children have been away from school for way too long. The best place for them is in school. We're really happy for them to be back in school. So we need to make sure we can keep that going as well as we can. So that one child who went into school who probably should, or who should have stayed at home, would have affected the whole rest of the class. So we need to make sure we get this right. So it's 30 children that would miss 2 weeks of school. It's also their teachers. it's also the teaching assistants as well. The primary phase is different from the secondary phase. In the secondary phase, we just look at those close contacts, but at the primary phase, it tends to be the entire class who will be asked to stay at home. That's why it's so important we all follow that advice and we get it right every single time. That's really all I did want to say, but one thing I do want to do is get some feedback from parents as to how this half term has been, the return to school and so forth. So there's an online survey, the address of which is included in the email in which this came to you. So please do fill that in and let us know how things have been going. But other than that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sending your children back to us at St. Peter's. As I said, we are loving having them back in school. One of the highlights of my week is to be able to go to the primary phase every week just to see some of the fantastic work that's been going on. So thank you all very much, and I wish you all a very safe and a very restful half term. Thank you and goodbye.